Hello, you fabulous fourth grade artists. How are you? Hope you're doing well on our extended break. I really miss seeing all of you. So each week I'm going to send out a video of a project that we would be working off when we're in school, and an extra drawing prompt will be coming your way as well. But this is our project for this week, and I'm really excited to share it with you because I think you'll enjoy this artist. His name is Romero Britto. And Romero Britto is a neo-pop artist, and I know that you are all experts on pop art. We've talked about that with Wayne Thiebaud and Roy Lichtenstein most recently. And I know you'll remember that pop art is when you're taking everyday objects and turning them into art and pulling from pop culture to do that. So Romero Britto is a neo-pop artist because he is doing it right now. So it's sort of like saying new pop art. Romero Britto was born in Brazil, and he is, I think he's maybe 58 this year. So he's luckily still with us. And so the pop art he's doing are references from our time. They're from our pop culture. The things you'll see about Romero Britto's artwork that are consistent are they're all images that you're going to recognize from the world around us, making them pop art. They also all are created by using black lines, so very defined images. They have lots of bold colors, lots of amazing patterns, and they're very happy pieces. Romero Britto has done so much art. If you have an opportunity to go and look up his artwork, you'll see he's very prolific. Subject matters all over the place. He's done things on the animals that we see here. He's also done things that reference movies. He's done a Darth Vader. He's done a Mickey Mouse. He's done he's kind of done it all. So take a look at more of his art. For today, we're going to focus on his dogs and his cats. So these two that I showed you are just two examples. He has many dogs and cats. And you are welcome to use his style, or if you want to create your own, you can. Let me show you a couple different opportunities you'll have here to create these. So this is my version of his cat, just a really simple drawing that I then outlined with black and then used my markers to create color and pattern. This is his dog. And the difference here is that I just used a different technique for coloring. So on this one, I did the black outlines because that's a really important part of his artwork. And then I used pastels and watercolor to create a resist. So I'm just going to show you really quickly how to get started, and then you can decide which you want to do, or maybe you want to do both. So for this project, all you will need are paper and pencil, and then whatever you have laying around for color. I know I did just mention watercolor. If watercolor is something that you don't have at home, maybe it's at school, please send me an email, and I do have some watercolor palettes I'm happy to drop off to you. Just leave on your porch if you want to borrow them while we're on our break. So I'm going to just start by drawing this kitty cat. And one of the things I love about Romero Britto is that his lines are very simple. So he sort of believes what we believe, which is just that anything you want to draw is really just a bunch of lines and shapes. All of Britto's pieces of art, I know you can all draw very easily. So when you go on his, looking at his art, you'll see, yeah, I could totally do that. So I'm just drawing a really fast kitty cat, kind of based on what he did. And I like to do mine in pencil first because then it gives me a chance to erase if I want to. So I'm just going to do a quick one. And in this, he actually did the eyes closed. So I'm going to do that middle. Or creating, oops, I did that upside down. I want to do that the other way. See, that's why I like to use pencil. So I'm going to do the nose and then the kitty cat's mouth, where the whiskers are going to go. And that's about it for the drawing portion. Then I'm going to use my marker, and you can use any marker you want. If you have a Sharpie, great. If you have a Crayola marker, great. I will say to you, if you are doing watercolor, just one thing to be aware of, if you're using watercolor, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, you want to make sure that the black marker you're using is permanent. if you use a Crayola marker and then you put watercolor over it, that's a water-based marker and it will bleed. So the black will bleed into your beautiful picture. So I would say that if you don't have a permanent marker, which you might not, we don't always have permanent markers at home. If you don't, then I would stay away from the watercolor portion of this because I would feel bad if you bled black ink into your beautiful artwork. So I'm gonna outline all this. And then before I start on the color part, I'm gonna do the other thing that's always in Brito's work, which is that he creates, I call them pockets. So he divides the back into pockets. And next year, when you're in 5th grade, we look at Brito again and we talk about how he has been called the modern day Picasso. And Picasso is the artist you've seen, I know, many times in your life, but he is credited for something called cubism, where he took pictures and he broke them up into kind of like this sections. And so Brito has been compared to Picasso because he uses some of that same technique. So now next year when I ask that question, you already know. How about that? So I'm just dividing my background into areas, and there, again, there's not like a right or wrong. It's just like whatever you want to do for pockets you can do. I like to make sure when I'm doing this that my face, I want to make this a tiny bit thicker. I might make my bow tie a little thicker because I like the lines to be very black. You saw in Brito's artwork that the lines are thick. The black lines are quite thick. It's not that he's doing a skinny line. It's a little bit thick. So sometimes I'll do it once and then go back over so that I have those dark lines. And then I'm ready for some pattern. So there's 2 options. I'm sure actually there's many options, but the 2 I was showing you. So this first one was just taking markers. This could also completely be done with crayons or pastels or whatever it is that you have at home. And I just start making patterns. And so what I like to do is remember how colorful Brito's pieces are. So I try to include as much color. So in this one, I'm doing a really simple pattern, but I'm filling it in all the way so that when I'm done, I have a really solid blue situation. So I might end up coloring some of these in. I'm not sure. I'll think about that. So then I would move on to another area. Let's see. And one of the things I like about this is that you really can include all colors. Sometimes we try to stick to like, warm or cool. This is a time where you can really shake up the colors and try and include as much as you want. And then I'd go back and I think I'm going to try and add some purple in here too. So you're getting the idea. You're adding a lot of interesting patterns. So one way is just to do it solid with marker or crayon and creating one scene. On this one, I did keep the face just black and white because I wanted to keep the cute cat face going. This one, the difference is simply that I took pastels. This can absolutely be done with crayons too. This technique works the same. It's a resist. So I'm doing like a pattern, some kind of interesting pattern in there. And then with my watercolor, I'm going to paint over that and it will resist my pastel that I just did. So I'm going to get a little bit of watercolor. I'm going to get a little bit of paint. And when I brush over it, see how it's pushing it away? So I have the paint, but I also have my pastel still coming through, which I always think is a fun technique. And like I said, if you're really wanting to experiment with some watercolors, I'm more than happy to drop those off to you so that you'll have some to work with. So that's our project for the week. I really encourage you to look up Romero Brito. He's a really interesting artist. And he's, as I said, has tons of different types of work. You will get ideas from looking at his work, on the colors, on the patterns, and the different ways that he put this together to create a darling animal. So if you have any questions, please email me and I'll get back to you. Hope you enjoy the project and can't wait to see y'all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.